First up, we got Indiana Jones Star Wars. I'm sure you've heard of this one. In Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, you can see these hieroglyphs inside the Well of Souls chamber that depict R2-D2 and C-3PO that kind of look like they're Egyptian style. What's kind of cool about this is George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were pretty good buddies. They worked together on a lot of stuff, and they secretly added different Easter eggs for each other's movies in their movies, such as this one right here, and then like there's Yoda in E.T., and one I never heard about is right here. This is R2-D2 in the movie Signs, but the Star Wars one in Indiana Jones is one of the most famous Easter eggs in any movie. We got Barbie is a prequel to Suicide Squad. So this is the theory that Barbie ends up being Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. So at the end of the Barbie movie, we see the main character, Barbie, experiencing existential dread, and she's feeling that she's unprepared to live in the real world. Because of this, there's a theory that goes that because she didn't fit in with the real world, she went to go work with other people that didn't fit in with the real world, and so she becomes a doctor and goes to Arkham. This is where she meets the Joker and, becomes Harley Quinn. And, both movies are played by the same actress, Margot Robbie. Fight Club Starbucks. So in nearly every single scene in Fight Club, you can see either up front or in the background a Starbucks cup or logo. Sometimes it's obvious, like on a table up front, or sometimes it's hidden in the background or in a trash bin. But David Fincher confirmed it was an intentional symbolizing of consumer culture, which is what a lot of the movie is about, and how inescapable branding has just become part of modern life today. Interstellar and Arrival take place in the same universe. This is the idea that the heptapod aliens from the movie Arrival are the same ones that mess with the time in Interstellar. So this one's pretty hard to explain, but I'll do my best. So in Interstellar, there's these highly evolved 5D beings that messed with time and created, the big time cube thing that allowed Cooper to go back in time and send data to his daughter, influencing the past to save humanity. And then in the movie Arrival, there were these aliens that visited Earth. In Arrival, they gave Luis this gift of being able to perceive time and see the future, or predict the future. Those aliens in Arrival did this in exchange for a favor in 3,000 years. This theory is that that favor they asked for was actually to open up a wormhole 3,000 years later, once humanity got the technology to do that. And so the heptapods actually are humans from the past that evolved to become that, and basically these 5D beings are doing this time loop thing to save themselves, which is humanity. Predator 2 Alien Skull. So in Predator 2, in the Predator's trophy room scene, you can briefly see this skull that clearly looks like a xenomorph from the movie Alien. This single shot implies that the universes were connected even before the Alien vs. Predator movie became part of the franchise. Godfather oranges. This is just talking about how in the movie Godfather, oranges appear repeatedly, usually right before a moment of betrayal or death. Lilo's parents were in the CIA. This is the idea that Lilo and Nani's parents, or at least one of their parents, was in the CIA. In the movie, we see Cobra Bubbles, who is a social worker that we can maybe assume is a close friend or colleague of Lilo's parents. And maybe Lilo's parents died during some sort of mission with the CIA, and that co-worker promised to look after them. Because why would a CIA agent that was at Roswell end up being a social worker? It makes more sense that their parents were in the CIA. Toy Story The Shining. So this one's kind of strange. Toy Story seems to either recreate or reference The Shining multiple times, such as in Sid's house, there's a carpet that is the exact pattern as the hotel in The Shining, and also the iconic room 237 reference, and different parts in Toy Story, like on license plates or serial numbers or on security cameras. You can see the number 237, which is a reference to the haunted room from the Shining movie. And it's also kind of funny because it's such a dark movie that is referenced in Toy Story. Ratatouille, Ego's mother. So in Ratatouille, there's this old woman at the beginning who tried to kill Remy, and this theory is that that old woman is actually the food critic Ego's mother, and that at the end of the movie, Remy makes ratatouille, and the reason why Remy knew to make that dish is because he lived there in Ego's house, and maybe he saw her cook that dish for him, or maybe he even helped her cook that dish in the past. And yeah, that's why the food critic liked the dish so much, is because Remy knew. The Departed X. So in the movie The Departed, an X appears in the background whenever one of the characters isn't gonna make it out of one of the scenes. The director, Martin Scorsese, says that he used this as like a visual omen that was inspired from different classic gangster movies. Frozen Tarzan connection. So Anna and Elsa's parents in Frozen were believed to have died in a shipwreck. However, there's this theory that they actually survived and washed ashore on an island in Africa where they at some point gave birth to a son and built a treehouse and named their child Tarzan. However, early in Tarzan's life, they died and got eaten by a leopard or something, where gorillas then found Tarzan as a little baby and raised him up to be their own. But people also point to a time discrepancy in the movies where Frozen was supposed to be around the 1840s and Tarzan takes place in the 1900s, but I really like the idea, so. Jimmy Buffett, Jurassic World. So in the movie Jurassic World, whenever all the dinosaurs are breaking out and the pterosaurs are attacking people, you can see for a brief moment Jimmy Buffett fleeing from the pterosaurs holding 2 margaritas in each hand because that's his priority in that moment. And it's funny because you can also see a Margaritaville restaurant in the park as if, you know, he owns it and he's just there, you know, having a good time. MCU humanoids are all abducted humans from Earth. This is the theory that all the humans we see out in space in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, the green people, the purple people, aren't alien species, but rather just humans that were abducted by other aliens since ancient times. And why are they so colorful or green or pink or whatever? It's because they had to adapt to different radiation on different planets, and so it made their skin color change. Pixar A113. So the term A113 has appeared in nearly every Pixar movie since Toy Story was made. This is a reoccurring Easter egg that is referencing a classroom number at a California art school where many Pixar animators studied. This code has showed up in different things like license plates, on doors, even on court documents, and it's just kind of cool that they, you know, add part of their background into a lot of different movies. The Iron Giant's true purpose on Earth. So in the movie, we never know who the specific creator of the Iron Giant was, but what we do know is that in the opening sequence, the giant comes from beyond Earth's moon. And based on the design and all the weapons he has, we can assume that maybe extraterrestrial beings created him for non-peaceful purposes. There's even this deleted scene from the movie that I just watched that shows the Iron Giant asleep, and he has this vision where he sees a group of 20 other Iron Giants on another planet burning down cities to the ground, and then the planet explodes, and it kind of suggests that the original objective was to destroy the planet or a planet, and maybe he arrived on Earth on accident, considering, you know, there's no other Iron Giants there on Earth. The Mort theory. So this is a really deranged theory that the really cute little lemur thing in the movie Madagascar is actually a powerful, ancient, evil entity with supernatural abilities. This theory was created by a YouTuber called The Theorizer who spent an ungodly amount of time creating and solving this theory, and basically the theory goes that Mort is an interdimensional godlike being that has been around since the beginning of time, and that in the original movie he's pretty unsuspecting and normal, you know, but then in the spin-offs in the show he's extremely complicated and has a lot of strange backstories. And to summarize and not go into it too much, the show kind of displays that Mort is an interdimensional godlike being that's been around since the beginning of time itself, and that there are these sky gods in the show that were represented as fruit for some reason, and that these fruit sky gods saw that Mort was a threat to reality, so they splintered his being and scattered him across the multiverse. And so in the show we see his fragmented personalities slowly finding each other again and reabsorbing into the Mort in the show. Also, the Mort that we know in Madagascar is actually just a version of Powerful Mort, who, when Powerful Mort lost a battle with one of the fruit deities, he wiped his own memory and hid himself amongst a group of regular dumb Mort clones. And so he's living out his life as a little mouse lemur thing that's normal. Overarching, the idea is that Mort is an evil deity who created the universe, and essentially he lives as a dumb regular lemur. I also find it interesting that his name is Mort, which is death in French, and this guy theorizes that Mort is the god of death, basically, or death himself. Anyways, thank you guys for watching another video about really intelligent topics, but I appreciate you watching all my videos. I'm going to be doing more on YouTube, so follow me on there if you want to see more of that, but I'll still be doing videos on here, so follow if you want to see that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.